Hey everyone, Ylette here, and today I'm going to show you how to create this art journal spread. So I'm working in my current, one of my current journals. I will leave a link to all the supplies that I used, whatever I can find. I will leave links below. This is the Stillman Birn, one of them, journal. They have a lot. And what I wanted to do, so this is me kind of documenting my trip to the USA in January, and I wanted to do this dedicated page to a couple of things that I pre-ordered and had sent to my almost American friend, one of my best friend that I have since we were 15 years old. She's been living for the last decade in the US. So we met up also in this trip. She flew to Phoenix to meet me, which was fantastic. And yeah, so I also ordered a few things, had them sent to her, and she brought me those things because this way, I can save on shipping and customs and all those things. So first thing that I'm doing here is this actually eyeshadow palette. And one of the things that I think are really, really helpful when, you're thinking, what do you want to sketch, especially if you kind of want to do kind of the sketch your life type of thing and not sketch things completely from your imagination, is to really find things that you love in your life. And for me, this was this eyeshadow palette, because much like, watercolors and paint, with makeup, you can get like all the colors. And of course, I can't put all the colors on my face. I mean, I can, but I don't. So the colors in my palette are a little bit calmer than the ones in my palette, but in my eyeshadow palette are a bit calmer than my watercolor palette, but it's still super fun to paint, and it's a good exercise in trying to kind of mix colors. And I gotta say, it was challenging at times. Now, the biggest challenge that I had when I made this was actually the blend of these. So you can see the color is not moving. Now, I'm thinking that I don't think it's the paper, because I've used so many of these journals and I never really had any issues with this watercolor paper. Usually the color flows very nicely on it. I think it was these paints. So I'm using a combination here of like traditional watercolors and then these metallic ones from Rubens, which are beautiful. But I think somehow their formula, I don't know if I didn't like properly mix them. I don't know what's in them. But what happened was that when I laid down some color, I couldn't really move it around. So that was a little bit annoying, but I went with the flow. So I think just next time I have to make sure either to wet the entire area I want to paint first, or make sure my brush is really, really, really juicy, or also make sure that the paint is very well mixed in the pan. I really don't know what the issue is. I can, my educated guess would be that it's something about the formula with all the like mica or all the shimmer in those paints that kind of makes it. I don't know if there's something there that is like oil-based or what. I don't know, but I just, I put it down and then it was really hard to move it around. So you can see I was like trying, but yeah. So that was actually the biggest surprise that I had here, because I don't really remember having that issue before. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I probably will use these again because I really love them. I think they're my favorite shimmery set. Let me know in the comments if you had any similar issues, if you know something about the formula or something like that. I don't know. So now I'm kind of moving on. I used the shimmery paints for my glittery and shimmery eyeshadows, and now I am going to sketch the regular ones, like matte eyeshadows. And the thing is with a lot of my eyeshadows, you know, the colors are quite, they're not complete neutrals. They're kind of like semi-neutrals. So very muted, dusty pinks and kind of brownish like oranges. You know, the colors that look more natural on your eye. That's the type of makeup I wear when I do wear makeup. And those proved to be somewhat difficult to mix for me because I'm just not used to mixing them. And also the set that I'm using, these are the, what are they called? The MeiLiang, the Pretty Excellent watercolors, which I will have a review coming on that set. I am not that familiar with every single shade, and usually like with my regular custom-made palette, it's easier for me to mix shades because I just know, you know, all the like different undertones of my colors and everything. And yeah, I don't know, you see the colors were just not flowing properly, and I guess I'm not sure if it's completely the paint's fault or a combination of the paper. I don't know. I never had issues with this paper, but we'll see how it performs. Maybe the backside of certain sheets of paper are not as, you know, they don't really let the color flow. I don't know, but yeah, you can see some places it blended better, and then others I really couldn't move it. So kind of weird. Anyway, add a lot of splatters. That's always a good thing. And yeah, that's me trying to mix all those very kind of, yeah, difficult colors of eyeshadows. And, you know, I'm trying to be a bit particular because I have this thing about color matching and whatever. But yeah, at some point I was just like, okay, whatever, let's do something that is close enough and be done with it. Now I'm adding just a few lines and details, trying to make the whole thing look just a little bit more dimensional. And yeah, the top there was another fail. I go back in the end and I think maybe even after I took the close-up shots of this and I just added another layer of more muted color. I really didn't like that. It looks a bit garish pink that I have going on there, which I usually like, but here it just wasn't working. Maybe because I am trying to sketch things that are real and not some, you know, fantasy images or something, that I just didn't like this color. So I think one of the biggest challenges when you are kind of sketching things in a very kind of loose way, I find that also when I look at other people's sketches, if you don't put in a bit more work into it, it can look very kind of flat and a bit simple and a bit boring. That's my opinion, and this of course goes also to my own sketches. I'm not just being like mean about other people's work, but I'm always trying to figure out how, you know, what's the secret. And obviously there's a lot, you know, you just have to practice, and the more you practice the better you become. But it's also, I want to be able to tell you, you know, if you're not happy with things, how they look, what should you pay attention to and see if your sketch or artwork is missing. And many times for me, I think it's, you know, you put that first layer and then things just, you know, they look okay, but it's just not interesting enough. And then I found that for me, what works many, many times is to go back, add more layers, add more detail. You don't necessarily have to add more stuff, you know, sketch more stuff, but you have to just add a few details to what you already have to make it, you know, exponentially better. I hope I used that word correctly. Anyway, I'll go back a bit to what I'm doing. So at the moment, I'm just leaving that eyeshadow palette. I let it be. I let things dry. and I'll go back to it later. But right now what I'm drawing is this necklace that I ordered, and I absolutely love it. I will link you to that store below if you're interested. It's not an affiliate link. I don't make any money off of it. It's just I really loved this. I saw this and I was like, yes, this has to be mine. And I think now they also did a silver version, so mine has gold details to it, but they also have now silver if you prefer that. And it's just beautiful. It's this rainbow necklace, and I saw it and I had to have it, and shipping was ridiculous, so I also ordered it to my friend. And yeah, I love it. So I wanted to add it here. Again, going back to choosing things that you really love, the way that they look, and you think you will enjoy painting them. And I enjoy painting anything that is rainbow. So there you go. So what are the type of things that we can add? So for example, interesting detail with maybe a different type of medium. So in this case, I'm going in with a gold pen. I will link you to it below. It's really nice. It's, you know, it seems very, I have had only great experience with the Posca pens. So I think this is like one of those items that are very reliable, but I wouldn't say that it is the most glittery, shiny gold that I've ever seen. But it is really nice, and I think I try and show you how it kind of reflects the light, because it is beautiful, but it's not like crazy shiny glittery gold, just letting you know. So I'm just adding that detail, and I think it adds a lot. So that's one way of kind of enhancing what you have. Now, again, those tiny details, these are kind of like beads, I guess, like colorful beads. They're not anything precious, and they also catch the light. So just going over with a white gel pen and adding a few lines in the corners really brings these things to life. And I'm doing the same thing on my eyeshadows, even though, you know, some of them are reflective and then others are just matte eyeshadows, but it's still, I'm sorry that is off camera. I forgot to zoom out as usual. That's always my issue with zooming in. But you can see I just added this curved line to the top left corner of each of the eyeshadows. You want to always put those highlights in the same place because, you know, they're supposed to show you the light source. So that's another way. And what I'm going to do a little bit, I think I actually did it already. Maybe I did that off camera. I also went back to the eyeshadows and added just a line of a deeper color to the bottom right area of the circles of the eyeshadows, like these circle pans of eyeshadow. And you can see that it gives it just a bit dimension. Again, you want that interest, you want that dimension, you want things to look more 3D and not so flat. And in order to do that, you need some shadows, some contrast, or everything will just look flat. So now I am using my stamps. I'm so proud of myself that I'm using my stamps. I'm really trying to use up my stash, and you know, whatever I don't use, I will be purging, because I prefer to have, you know, fewer things that I love than just be overwhelmed with a ton of things I hardly use. So I'm going to stamp. This is a Crate Paper Oasis stamp set. It's really nice, but it's so fussy, right? To stamp like this, I gotta say. So yeah, whatever. But I did enjoy it, and I really like the way that it turned out. I used two different ink colors, like a light gray and then a darker gray. You could just stamp off the dark gray and get a lighter gray, so you could definitely do that. And here I used this cute wooden stamp set, which is a lot easier because you don't have to mount it on an acrylic block, to add some more letters. And then I also used my Cocoa Daisy alphabet to stamp Retail Therapy. And yeah, I'm showing you, oh right, the gold. See how it reflects the light. There we go, a little bit. So that's the pen I used. I will link you below. And that's it. I had a lot of fun making this. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you feel inspired. If you're into sketching, grab something in your life that you love to look at. It can be anything, stuffed animal, a favorite item of clothing, and have fun sketching. Thanks for watching. Bye.